Sort of stood aside there from the leg stump, showed it all. He was looking to whip it away on the onside, and Ferguson breaks through, and also breaks through in terms of a wicket taken to end this opening partnership. 62 for 1.
Yeah, and change of angle from Ferguson, went from around the wicket to over the wicket, that ball, and that's his 4th slow ball in a row, and Quinton de Kock has played all around that, wanting to keep that intent. We're just saying there, we don't want South Africa to be losing that intent, but also not losing the wickets. And is this the little gap that New Zealand needed to be able to go a quick bang bang and put South Africa on the back foot a little bit? But yeah, South Africa really didn't need that wicket, but New Zealand did.
So as a batter, you're thinking, oh, come on now, he won't do the same again a 4th time in terms of pace.
Yeah, and you're trying to stay ahead of the game. You're trying to read what's worked. He's bowled 3 balls in a row and then gone over the wicket, so he's changed the angle. The first thing you're thinking about as a batter there is what's his stock ball, and generally Ferguson from that over the wicket is in your blind spot. He's pitching the ball on leg stump at high pace, and he is really quick, and he's quite hard to line up. So you're setting yourself for that, and you're expecting there to be a bit of pace pitching outside leg, which de Kock did. He's looked to hit that over the leg side, but it's just been too full and too slow, and he's ended up sort of foxing him a little bit, if you want to put it that way.
29-year-old Ryan Rickleton makes his way out to the middle now to replace Quinton de Kock, who's gone for a 14-ball 20. Breakthrough arriving with 2 balls left of the 5th over, but Aidan Markram still there at the other end. 41 of 14 balls, 5 fours, 3 sixes. So Ferguson will try and remove Rickleton. First ball, if he can, comes around the wicket into bowl now. Bat on it, pushed up towards mid-off. Quick shot at the stumps. That would have been mightily close. I think that Santner with a good stop. Left arm throw up and over the top of the stumps. So Rickleton set off nice and quickly, but it almost wasn't quick enough. It's his call to make. He has to go running around. I mean, the bowler doesn't do anything wrong, but he has to go the long way round, if you like, to it. And he would have been well gone.
He would have.
Santner hit there.
Yeah, he would have, and that would have been the wicket that New Zealand would have had, or would have wanted, just 2 in a row, and that would have changed the momentum for them. But fortunate for Rickleton there, 148 kilometres per hour that ball was as well.
Ferguson to Markram on 41, and lovely drive. Well, he hasn't seen the ball for a few deliveries now, but immediately picks up where he left off with a glorious cover drive. It's 4 runs for the skipper. He moves to 45. 67 for 1 after 5 overs, going along so nicely here. They only need 176. We say only because we think they're below par on setting that 175 for 7. A few words from David Malan, and there'll be Matt to pick up.
Yeah, that's ruined a really good over for New Zealand there. Wicket with only 1 run off it, and Markram's just found a way of getting to the boundary. But South Africa, what a start to their chase, chasing 176 and 67 for 1. Couldn't have asked for a dream start, and if they can keep this momentum going and get a good partnership going here, you'd feel New Zealand are pretty much out of this game.
Well, if they keep this momentum going, you feel this could be over in 15 overs or so. Incredible stuff, especially from Aidan Markram. 45 or 15. It's just been crisp hitting, really. Some really good cricket shots. De Kock weighed in as well with his quick-fire 20. And Tash, you and I were talking at the end of the first innings, and we were talking about the fact that maybe New Zealand could be 15-20 short. Well, might be a few more short by the looks of things. Here's Duffy, back of a length on off stump, and Rickleton cuts this out to deep backward point for no run.
Yeah, I know, they are going along so quickly here. Markram did start his T20 career in the middle order, but since he's come up to the top of the order, obviously bats at the top of the order in Test match cricket as well as 50-over stuff, he has just really improved that strike rate. He's such an imposing character, and he just leads from the front, doesn't he, in the way that he goes about, well, in particular, this run chase, but he just carries himself so well. But I've been interested in seeing his facial expressions. He doesn't look like he feels it out there.
Oh, here's Rickleton, uppish over mid-off, though. And the ball races away to the boundary. You get the impression he might have been done slightly by a slower ball there, maybe a bit early on the shot. But he just went through with it, and it came out the middle, and he gets it up and over mid-off.
Yeah, definite slower ball there, the off-cutter from Duffy, which we don't see normally from him inside the power play. He normally bowls that hard test match length, and he does get the ball to shape, but because they've been put under so much pressure.
Up and over again, this time dead straight, back-to-back boundaries for Rickleton, and this might have gone all the way. I think that's gone over the line for a 6. So after a very good over by Lockie Ferguson, was just threatened to rein in South Africa, they've got straight back on the horse.
Yeah, and another slower ball there from Duffy, and you don't see this from him in the power play normally, and I just feel that he didn't learn from that first innings where South Africa actually started to pick up the wickets when they kept the pace on, bowling at the top of the stumps. Just looked like, because they are under so much pressure, just trying a little too much here. The slower balls on this pitch, they just don't seem to be working, especially if you bowl them in the slot as well. The umpire just confirming there that that is the 4, just bounced inside the boundary sponge. Duffy, he's under a huge amount of pressure here. Already gone for 28 off his 1.3.
28 off 9 balls. Here he is again. Bangs us in short, and he's met by Ryan Rickleton. That's got miles. He's pulled that directly over square leg and way back into the crowd. Catching practice for them. South Africa, astonishingly, have gone past 80, and there's 2 balls left in the power play.
Well, he does go for that test match length, trying to push it across Rickleton here, and that is humongous, 103 metres. That 6 has gone. What a shot from Rickleton, because that is not a bad ball from Duffy. It's pretty much his best length ball, and it has been dealt with there from Rickleton. And I almost feel a little bit here for the bowlers. They're not quite sure where they can bowl to this South African top order. We haven't even seen Daryl Brevis yet. He's sort of licking his lips there on the side, thinking, "Oh, I want to have a crack at this as well."
Oh, Jacob Duffy, what have you got now? 2 balls left in the over. Here he is, tall New Zealand fast bowler, pace off on off stump. Rickleton dabs into the offside and takes 1. He'll probably be glad that he's gone off strike, although you've got Aidan Markram to bowl at now, who's 45 off 15. 1 ball left in the power play.
Yeah, just going back to that shot from Rickleton, playing it across the line. He must have sort of been premeditating that was going to be pace on and at the top of off stump, because that was an unbelievable shot, hitting that off the top of off stump. 103 metres over deep in front of square leg. Just makes the bowler's head so scrambled, you don't know where to bowl.
Banged in short by Duffy. Markram tries to play a hook shot, and it's been called a wide. Actually, it was down leg side, maybe height as well. So he's not out of the woods yet, Mr. Duffy.
No, he's not, and he's really rushing through the over here. He's walking back to his mark so quickly. You just feel that he wants to get out the over as quick as he can here, but just, he needs to take a little breath, maybe speak to his skipper.
Here he is then, former #1 ranked bowler in the world, of course, and Markram backs away. Very full delivery on the stumps, almost a Yorker, and he drives this out to cover for no run. Drinks are coming on to the field. That is the power play. 6 overs done in this run chase. South Africa 83 for 1. They only need to get 176 to win the game, so that's 93 more off 84 balls, just over 6 and over from here. I mean, really, Tash, it's just all about keeping wickets in hand, and they will get there comfortably.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't feel that Markram at all is going to go down in gears. He's just in that mode now. He's in 6th gear, and everything he's trying to get to the boundary. So they won't sort of be looking just to crawl over the line here. They'll want to get this done as quickly as possible and just make a statement also for the other teams that will be watching this high-class game as well. And just thinking about New Zealand, obviously they do have the leg spinner of Ish Sodhi on the side.
Yeah.
They maybe would have thought about bringing him into this game. A couple of that South African middle order do struggle against leg spin. I'm not saying it would turn, because we haven't really seen any turn on this pitch, but just to change the pace of the game. They've obviously got the big quicks and the part-time off spinner of Phillips, and also Ravindra can bowl a bit of finger spin as well. But just thinking, going forward, do they need to maybe try and get Ish Sodhi into this side just to have a little bit more variety to their attack?
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. I think that's maybe one thing that they're lacking, this team. They seem to have a lot of bases covered, but maybe when they go to Sri Lanka for the Super 8s, play on the more tired pitches later in the tournament, that's when they'll go to Sodhi, just to give them a little bit of extra bite in the spin department. And maybe also South Africa, they haven't really got the option because Tabraiz Shamsi is not there with the squad, but maybe that's something that they might feel they lack later in the tournament, is that wrist spinner. We mentioned it earlier. But apart from that, South Africa really do look in good order, don't they? They look a strong side, similar to New Zealand, with a lot of bases covered. As the lights come out in the Narendra Modi Stadium, it's a fantastic sight, isn't it, when all the fans get their mobile phones out, put the lights on, and they put the music on in a little break of play. It's quite a stunning visual sight. It's really filled up quite nicely, actually. It's a huge stadium. It really is, somewhere close to 100,000.
Yeah, and you know, even if you do have about 40 or 50,000 in, it can look empty, but it's great. And also we heard at half-time as well from Chapman that it was great to see the locals coming in to see this big clash match. And now we're going to see the skipper of Santner just to change the pace of things here with his left arm spin. Could he have potentially brought himself on in the power play? He was obviously backing his seamers there, but just going to see a bit of change of pace here with the first bit of spin that we've seen in this run chase.
Just to clarify, it's about 100,000 capacity, not 100,000 in now. I'd imagine maybe something in the region of 30, 40,000. It's hard to tell because it's so big, but it has filled up over the last couple of hours. They have gone up like an absolute train. 83 for 1 off the power play, chasing 176 to win the game. So they need 93 more off 84 balls. They keep wickets in hand, and they should get there comfortably. First ball of Mitchell Santner's over. Went for a single, didn't it? Glad you're watching.
You got a lot on your plate. I went for a 2 actually, so I wasn't watching.
Okay, right. Just doing that 5 live update. Ryan Rickleton works this into the leg side, picks up another 1. Score moves on to 86 for 1 off 6.2 overs. Markram 5 short of his half century. Getting half century in under 20 balls, that's pretty good going. So he's got 3 deliveries to do that if he can get there. And you made an interesting point about where he's been batting in T20s. He faces up to Santner, drives this into the pitch, he clips this into the leg side, and it's a quick single before Seifert can cut it off. I always thought, actually, I wonder why he doesn't open in T20 cricket, because he has been used to opening 50-over cricket, longer format his whole career. And then just to suddenly transform yourself into a middle-order player in T20, I always feel like if you're an opener, you know how to hit the gaps. As Ryan Rickleton does, he cuts past cover for 1.
Yeah, he's obviously a powerful player like we're seeing today, but he's not sort of someone that you would associate with maybe David Miller, Tristan Stubbs, Marco Jansen. They have so much firepower in that lower middle order that it just makes sense for him to be at the top of the order.
Here's Eddie Markram, and he cuts past backward point. He gets a hand on it, probably should have stopped it. Ball's running away to the boundary, but round comes the electric Glenn Phillips, who was out at deep point, and he cuts it off. They come back for 2.
And you would say that his strength was against the seamers as well. So obviously, I think he would feel a lot more comfortable, obviously, coming out to the crease for that first over more than likely he's going to face more seam than spin, whereas in the middle that could be different.
The over, and he goes high and straight. Aidan Markram, has he got enough of this? Yes, he has. Daryl Mitchell comes around from long on. I think at one point he might have thought he had half a chance, but the ball just kept on going, sailed over his head. And Aidan Markram's got a 50 of just 19 balls, 7 overs done. South Africa, 96 for 1.
Yeah, and I think we both thought that this may not have had enough on it, but just because of how languid and sort of relaxed that swing was, didn't try and hit the ball too hard. Not the biggest boundaries here, but that was over 70 metres and pretty muted just pretty muted bat raise to his teammates on the side there. He'll want to make sure he wants to get his team over the line as quickly as possible. That's the fastest 50 as well in the World Cup, alongside Shanaka for Sri Lanka, 19 balls. So I'll be pretty happy with his work so far. Now going to see another bowling change for New Zealand. Jimmy Neesham, his right arm medium. He'll look to change the pace, fire in a couple of Yorkers as well. He might go to his death skills here.
They've got to do something here, New Zealand, because this game is running away from them quickly. Here comes Neesham, pace on into the pads of Ryan Rickleton, who just keeps the scoreboard ticking over, pushes this down to long on, and they trot through for a single. You do feel if South Africa can go on and win this comfortably, it will be quite a statement, even though it doesn't really affect the grand order of things, because ultimately it looks like these two will finish in the top two, barring a massive upset. If one of them loses to either Canada or UAE in their final games, they will be the top two. Afghanistan will go out. Here comes Neesham, just back of a length outside the off stump. That's cute from Aidan Markram. Really nice that he just opened the face, glided that ball between the two fielders behind square on the ring in the offside. He perfectly bisected them, and that's run away for 4. 100 up, 101 for 1.
Yeah, you can't be giving that width to Markram today. Just seeing that ball so nicely, just looks to run it off the face there. We've seen a lot of runs through that third region today, actually, but that one was deliberate. He opened the face, just got it down to the third boundary.
Jimmy Neesham, again, arms pumping, slightly sweaty, and he's clipped into the leg side by Markram for a 1, who is enjoying himself out there today, isn't he? He looks in really good touch. So if South Africa do win this comfortably, which is what they're heading towards at the moment, feels like it is a bit of a statement, even though they will go into one Super 8s group and New Zealand will go into the other. Just in terms of when you think of which side is most likely to challenge India. And for me, if they can pull off a big win here, South Africa. This has gone high. Ryan Rickleton trying to go over, long on. He doesn't quite get there. Daryl Mitchell does brilliantly on the boundary. Right on the boundary. He catches the ball above his eyes. He's toppling over. He flips it up, falls over the boundary, runs back in field, and catches the ball, and that looks like a legitimate catch to me. He's taking all the high fives from his teammates. He says, yes, I've done it. We'll have to check the replay, but Tash, I think this is another great example of the modern day fielding right on the boundary edge.
Yeah, looks like this is a brilliant catch. He's so close to that boundary sponge as he takes the catch, and he parries it back in, and then takes the second catch inside the rope. I'm sure they're just going to check that that right foot of Daryl Mitchell isn't touching the boundary sponge as he parries the ball back inside. I think it is a clean catch, and just so used to seeing them now, but it's just such great awareness of where you are as a fielder and also where the boundary sponge is. And you see people sometimes go a little bit more side on so they can sort of see the ball and the boundary sponge, but this time Mitchell is front on. He does well just to lean back and not lose his balance. And then a simple catch after the parry back into the boundary. He was pretty happy with his efforts as well. Also, probably just a little bit of frustration there as well, how this run chase has gone for New Zealand. But they finally managed to break that partnership. But unfortunately for them, the batters just keep coming. Dewell Brevis to the crease, and the sort of onslaught just continues for New Zealand.
Yeah, there's so much firepower, isn't there, in this South Africa top six. It was an interesting replay, actually, watching Daryl Mitchell do that. I'll get to that in a moment. Brevis facing his first ball from Neesham. Digs us in short, and Brevis shows quick hands, pulls in the air, out to deep mid-wicket. Glenn Phillips was on the boundary, but he was actually about 10 yards in, and it was hit hard and flat, and it's just got over his head. It was a Superman dive from Glenn Phillips, who's pulled off those kind of catches before, but it was just out of his reach. Neesham shakes his head. It's a one-bounce 4.
Yeah, Neesham is not happy here because Phillips, even though it looked like an excellent effort, he is a good 10 yards off the boundary there. That's the longer boundary towards the leg side that Brevis is hitting towards. But if you could have one person under that catch, you need to pull out the full Superman dive. It is going to be Glenn Phillips. But if he was slightly close to the boundary sponge there, he would have taken that easily. The frustration for Neesham, the bowler there.
So Brevis off the mark straight away, maybe slightly fortuitously. This stops on him a little bit, holds in the pitch, and he pushes uppishly to cover no run. 8 overs bowled, 106 for 2. There's some great facial expressions at the moment from the Kiwis. We saw Jimmy Neesham there just look astonished that Glenn Phillips possibly wasn't in the right position. And then, as I was saying, the replay of Mitchell taking that brilliant catch on the boundary, he caught it and then he tossed it up, and his mouth was wide open.
It's like he was
the
going
whole
to
way.
eat the
It looked
ball.
like he was going to eat the ball the whole way through. It was almost like he was astonished by what he was about to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Good bit of fielding there from Mitchell. But just going back to your point that we struggled to get in because T20 cricket is just so fast. I agree. I think South Africa do look like they could challenge India.
Santner short to Markram.
Purely because of the amount of seen Aidan Markram get that 50 of 19 balls with Quinton de Kock, Dewell Brevis, David Miller, Tristan Stubbs, Marco Jansen on the side. So just the batting depth that they have, along with them, but I just think the depth in the batting could really challenge the favourites, India.
Dewell Brevis facing up to spin for the first time, and he cuts hard past cover. There is cover behind him, though. Glenn Phillips off the boundary again. This time he stops them coming back for 3. They come back for 2 on this occasion. A good bit of running. Brevis, though, started very proactively.
Yeah, well, Markram hasn't had to run too many of his runs, has he, so far? So put the burners on for that first quick one and then made sure he got back for 2.
Tossed up a bit more. Brevis maybe loses his shape a little bit. He drags this full delivery out to long on, trying to hit it out the park. Doesn't get the elevation. They just get 1.
A bit of a hack there from Brevis. And I think it must be hard for the batter trying to go along at the rate that Markram is batting at, but actually he probably just needs to get him on strike here.
Markram is on strike now, and this is a wide. It was tossed up. I think he might have thought, Santner, that Markram was going to come down the track, so he really took all the pace out of this, tossed it up, and it spun, but it was way too wide of off stump, and he'll have to bowl that one again. Required rate under 6 now, 65 needed off 69 balls. Bowled hard into the pitch, and it's kind of pulled, bizarrely, to long off by Aidan Markram. He's trying to sort of pull it straight, and a bit late on it, and the ball somehow finds its way out to long off.
Yeah, that ball was, I think, supposed to go into that mid-wicket gap, but because of the extra bounce that Santner gets, it just sort of hit high up on the bat, and that's why it skewed off to long off. But another single to the total.
Brevis is going to go hard again. Again, it's a really slow delivery from Santner. This time it's not wide, it's just wide outside the off stump. Turns a bit. Not a bad delivery that, I think, maybe for Brevis, who's looking like he really wants a piece of the left arm spinner here. Only 46 mile an hour, that last ball from Mitchell Santner. Last ball now of his over. Quicker, and Brevis is equal to it. punches off the back foot behind square on the offside. They come back for 2 and make it comfortably to 9 overs bowled, 114 for 2. Just looking at Deval Brevis, who's had a good few months in franchise cricket, he looks like he's beefed up a little bit. Looks like he's been in the gym, and significantly as well. He looks like he's put on, I don't know, minimum 6 kg or something like that.
Yeah, he does look pretty strong. Both these batters, along with Markram, very strong guys, and didn't really need to put on any extra power, did he? But he must enjoy going to the gym, but must be quite a scary sight as a bowler when you've almost got Brevis at one end and you can just tell he's sort of sinking into his stance. He's wanting to absolutely wallop every single ball here. I don't think he's prepared to just give Markram the strike. He also wants to get in on the act.
He's thinking 6 first and foremost, every ball, using his new muscles. Here comes Neesham. Slower ball to Markram, who's just got to gear down a little bit after that Rickleton dismissal, and he clips this out to long on for 1, gets the young man Brevis on strike. Yeah, the reason I mentioned he looks a little bit different is because you remember when he burst onto the scene, he got an IPL contract very early, and there was a lot of talk about him and the next big thing, and maybe it was a bit too early for him and he didn't quite fulfill all of the hype. And Tristan Stubbs, actually probably similar age, sort of came to the fore more, and Brevis had to take a bit of a back seat, but now he's starting to really find his feet. Got back in the South Africa side, he crouches low, drives off the back foot to cover, misfield, but I don't think it'll cost him. Dot ball, and now it feels like he's really, you know, found his feet now in franchise cricket, and that's fed into international cricket as well, and he just looks a more powerful T20 hitter.
Yeah, he just obviously has got a few more years under his belt, and he's already played so much cricket around the world. But I guess your currency still is at international cricket. You'll pick up those franchise deals if you do well in huge tournaments like this one.
On strike here, Brevis, and again this is hit very hard, but straight out to deep point off the back foot for 1.
And you know, we've seen someone like Sam Curran, obviously, in the World Cup in Australia, where he was player of the tournament. Then he picked up the gigs from there. So, you know, it's all well and good playing all this franchise tournament cricket, and you know, obviously that is really important in your learning as well. But for Brevis, if he can do well on this stage, that will mean more to him, especially having a few more years under his belt as well.
Markram now on strike, the South African captain. It's a very classy looking square drive off the front foot, again straight out to the man at deep point for 1.
Just feels like a little lull here, doesn't it? The last over going for 8, and then just a couple of singles in this over. It's almost like, what's going on? Where are the boundaries gone? So, but just a nice little passage of play here for New Zealand. Just what they have done well is keep Markram off strike. Actually, they've bowled a majority of the balls to the new batter of Brevis,
who's back on strike, the younger man, crouching low, slower ball, which he goes back and clips off his hip just behind square on the leg side for 1. So good over this by Jimmy Neesham, just 4 singles in the 5 balls. 118 for 2 is the score, 58 needed from 61 balls. South Africa well in control of this run chase against New Zealand. The battle of the top 2 in Group D. Whoever wins this, you would think, will top the group. They've got to play UAE and Canada respectively after this in the final games. Neesham bangs this one in short. Markram pulls, doesn't really time it, out to deep mid-wicket for 1. So only 5 off that Neesham over. South Africa 119 for 2. They've got 10 overs to get another 57 runs. Tash, you can tell us why you think New Zealand might have even a small chance, or might not.
Then, you've set me up for failure there.
And then we're going to hear, yeah, exactly. Then we're going to hear again from David and Kevin.
Well, I think South Africa they've been pretty disappointed that they can't go on to win this game. But a good couple of overs for New Zealand, the 2 overs previously, just going for 13. So they're just managing to get a little bit of a strangle on things. But Markram's still there. He hasn't faced much of the strike. He's going to be on strike for this Henry over. So South Africa are well and truly in the driving seat here.
I don't think you explained how New Zealand can win the match, Tash, there, somehow. It's like a round of defend the indefensible, wasn't it?
Pretty well here.
Good stuff. Back with you shortly. 119 for 2. Markram's on 64. What a knock from the captain. 64 off 26 balls. Henry back on, in, bowls full, driven, in the offside. There should be somebody out there on the boundary to come in by some distance to do the clearing up. Well, I hate to be despondent for any New Zealand listeners, but I'm afraid the win probability is down at 3.60% at the moment, and even that, I think, maybe tad generous.
Yeah, I think tad generous. I don't think New Zealand have got that much chance unless something miraculous happens, maybe a hat-trick or 2 hat-tricks. Unbelievable from South Africa and Markram and the way they've gone about this chase.
Indeed. I see Harry Brook talking, I think it's post the Scotland game, says, well, yeah, it's not really, I've not really hit the straps yet, but, you know, you don't want to do so too early in a tournament. Well, I suggest that perhaps get yourself in a bit of form. There are not that many matches still to come, and Markram's not messing about. Brevis there with a leading edge off the bowling of Henry. It's just a dot ball into the offside, but Markram clearly feels that it is the time in the tournament to feel good about yourself, because he has played a thunderous knock today. There's been some subtlety to it on a few shots as well. In fact, there's been some glorious cover drives. It's not just been, you know, thraping the ball to all corners of the ground. It's been a lovely knock. But Brevis at the other end is currently on strike. 120 for 2 in this 11th over. And next ball bowled, driven straight back up to Henry, who's in his 3rd over, gone for 25 runs. But Markram as an opener brought up the order.
Yeah, I really like it. It's been a masterstroke, actually. I think maybe the selections going. Ryan Rickleton, who'd opened the batting for a long time, with Quinton de Kock coming back as well. So Markram sort of saw himself in that middle order a little bit, almost making room. But he's always been an opener, in my opinion, and it's worked out so far.
Brevis facing a shorter ball, which he looks to pull, swings and misses. We haven't seen too many ugly-looking attempts at hitting the ball from South Africa today, but that one didn't look the brightest. But it's okay. Earlier today, Marco Jansen, with terrific bowling from Jansen. All 6'8" of him. And New Zealand managed 175 for 7, but his figures 4 for 40 from his 4 overs. As we say about bowlers like Jansen, can be costly. I mean, they will go for a few runs, but that is a massive fall, and that wickets column so important. As New Zealand are well on their way probably to defeat as a result of not scoring the runs, but also you've got to give some credit to South Africa's batters here, because they really have set about this in very positive style and haven't allowed New Zealand bowlers to settle at all here today. There's another run on the board for them here now. And it does set them up really nicely in this competition, already throwing ahead to the possibilities, probabilities of who they might face. And will it be South Africa and India that push hard? Well, we'll wait and see. I mean, England still could come good. New Zealand have been, you know, up until this point, looking a strong-looking outfit as well. Brevis on 13 on the leg stump, worked away up towards long on for a single. In World Cups, I mean, there is a point to be made, I guess, that it's more important that you're right on top of your game at the end of the tournament rather than the beginning, as long as you're still picking up the wins and the points. I mean, that's a very valid point.
Yeah, it is. Peaking at the right moment is crucial in World Cups and in any tournament cricket. If you could win the first 4 games or 5 games and then lose the crucial one, so you want to be able to play your best cricket consistently and finding the right way of doing that, and as you said, peaking at the right moment. So the last thing you want to do is use up all your runs in the group stages, but you want to be able to feel like you're ticking along nicely with the bat. And if you are a bowler, you want to have the rhythm and feel like the ball's coming out of your hand nicely, because it almost, as long as you make it to that Super 8, before that and everything that you've done is almost irrelevant once you've made it, and then it becomes a knockout tournament pretty much from there.
This equation is 53 off 54 balls And England got home comfortably in the end. They were 10 balls spare in that run chase against Scotland today, but this is something else. Now, Rachin Ravindra with a bit of spin. 11 overs have gone, 123 for 2. In these conditions, under the lights, David, it's spin. It's not an easy option to choose, but they'll look to anything at the moment to try and put South Africa off despite their strong start. It's a single there from Ravindra to Brevis. Brevis will pick up one, moves to 15.
Yeah, New Zealand have to find something here. They go into the left arm spinner, part-time spinner, but maybe slightly better than that. Bowls a lot quicker than what Santner does and attacks the stumps. And I think it'll just be hoping that South Africa make a mistake. But any time when you're bowling when it's a bit dewy, it's tough as a spinner.
Yeah, Markham's on 65. That one spins back across him, and he does well to work that onto the onside for a single. He moves to 66 off 28. And if there was a lot of emotional thinking and feeling following that hard game against Afghanistan, which they could so easily have lost, South Africa, surely that's going to be well out of the system now following a performance like this. Brevis on 15, 51 from 52. This is in the air. Has he got enough on it to clear the fielder? And well wide of the fielder there and long off. And that's a 6 for Brevis. Moves to 21. For one moment I thought it was going to be a fielder that can just come around a few yards, but that went so quickly and the fielder was nowhere near it.
Yeah, talking about Brevis' muscles earlier, and he's absolutely muscled that short ball on middle stump, and he's found a way to get right back in his crease and smack it over his head. It's a fantastic shot.
Literally licking his lips at that one. Brevis on 21, gone high again, same area but so high. Is it going to clear the fielder? No! Catch is taken by Mitchell. Oh, he went big again, but just got under that a little bit too much. And it's Brevis gone for 21. It's a wicket for Ravindra, and it's 3 down, 131 for 3 in the 12th over.
Yeah, Brevis gambling there. The ball before dropped a bit shorter, and he smacked it off the back foot over his head. He's gambled that he's going to miss Fuller on this occasion. He's run out of his crease, used his feet to try and get to the pitch of the ball, but was nowhere near it. Bit of a premeditated shot, but you have to say, fantastic bowling from Ravindra. He's taken the pace off it. He's held his nerve and held his length, and he's managed to get the big wicket of Brevis and might have given New Zealand a glimmer of hope.
We're going from 3% maybe to 7 or 8.
Well, even that's a bit generous, maybe 5%.
5, you're going to settle on 5. Okay. Well, the reason we carry on watching these matches is because you never know what might happen. Well, that's one of the reasons why we carry on. And there have been some major turnarounds, but this really would be something else from here. Miller comes out to join Markram, and one of the reasons is that, as is the case with so many of the top teams, that they just keep on coming at you. This is ideal for Miller now, really, to lay in and go so big. I mean, they've only got 50-odd runs to get as a team, but ideal circumstances for us to see the strength of Miller. 2 balls left of the 12th. Sorry, David.
No, a very experienced player, Miller. He's been around South Africa for years and played for them for years, won a lot of games for them. And as you say, this is the perfect opportunity for him just to get some runs, just to knock it around, take the game deep, see where he ends up, and then just finish it whenever he's ready. He's such a talented player.
Faces his first ball. Ravindra round the wicket, width, leans into that one, drives out into the offside, so he's off the mark with 1. And 132 for 3 in the 12th over. Big statement being set here by South Africa, there really is. And other teams will be looking on. They will be watching. Could be team evening meals or something like that. Talion in the corner, Markram on 66. And the keeper like that, Seifert, but Markram cool as you like. Dot ball to finish off that over, defends that one. 132 for 3 then. His target of 175. And Ravindra has taken a wicket and gone for 9 runs. So if he was brought on, as indeed he must have been, to get a wicket, that's what he's got. But actually, as captain might have said, any chance of a couple more as well?
Well, South Africa, I think this is the danger zone for them a little bit. In these chases where you only need to run a ball, sometimes you can take your foot off the gas and you can lose a little bit of momentum. So South Africa want to keep that intent They want to keep looking for the boundaries. They want to keep New Zealand down. They want to keep finding ways of ticking this scoreboard over, because what they don't want to do is it suddenly to become a 45 or 38, and then you lose a wicket and then it pushes up again. So they want to keep trying to put New Zealand under pressure, keep finding their boundary consistently.
By the way, that win probability didn't change at all. I think it went from 3.20 to 3.40. That's what they want. Into the offside. No comes the call from Miller to Markram. Oh, that was not the time to be running out your skipper here when he's looking so good for 66. But it was the correct call into the offside.
Yeah, it's the last thing you need. You don't want to give New Zealand a sniff here, and they need to be clinical, South Africa, and it will put them in good stead for the rest of the tournament if they can get over this line. There's 7 wickets to go.
44 from 47, 132 for 3. And that's been pulled away by Miller, square on the onside. He's just happy to tick along to 2. Having faced 3 deliveries, it's Santner doing the bowling at the moment. They won't give up right to the end, of course, but I'm sure the captain knows that they'll take some learnings from this. And the point was made, you know, this is the first hard, big test for New Zealand, perhaps. So there will be a little reflection on this from their point of view. So wideish ball, a signal was wide? No, I don't think it should have been, but it hasn't been either by the keeper. Reaching by the umpire. Markram remains on 66, but they will have to reflect on this and just see if there will be, if they make the progresses. It looks almost certain that both these teams will do to the Super 8s. There'll be some big games up and coming. Markram on 66, width again, and that's been very well stopped by Neesham, and I'll go through for 1. Sharp work, and could argue there, although he wasn't able to just grab hold of the ball cleanly, that Markram and Miller would have had to make sure that the communication was good for running through for that single, because the throw came in fairly sharp.
Yeah, they had to hurry through in the end. Tighter than they would have liked, I think.
135 for 3. Miller's on strike on 2. And it's Santner bowling. This bit where he comes up and he stops just at the point where he's about to release the ball, then he does so. Another single for South Africa. 136 for 3. 2 balls left of the 13th. So seeing some singles, a wide from Santner. One of the studious looking type cricketers is Mitchell Santner, around the wicket in the bowls. And, driven out there through the offside. I mean, he does look a single. He does look one of the quieter, more reflective sort of cricketers. However, I have seen given out on a dismissal. I think it was at Worcester for Surrey last summer. And to say that he made the most of telling everybody how disappointed he was with that is a bit of an understatement. But he's in and bowls now. He can get angry. This one is driven along the ground to long on. A single. So 6 runs and a wide. 5 runs and a wide, maybe. Anyway, 138 for 3 after 13 overs. Markram on 68. All based around the captain, really. Led from the front, right from the word go. And there's 38 from 42. Shouldn't take too long. I mean, I'm interested in the fact that obviously they've got these just 3 wickets down, but you say just keep on going, because you'll get these runs just by pushing around a bit as well, won't you? But you say it's important to keep that intent.
Yeah, you need to keep the intent. It's all about intent with batting. You have to keep finding the boundaries. What you don't want to do is get this down to 20 off 20 when you're in such a dominant position. So, and that's speaking from experience. I've messed that up quite a few times where you think, oh, it's a runner ball, and then suddenly it goes up again. The rate goes up to 7s, and then you try and take a risk, and you start losing wickets consistently.
This is Ferguson to Miller, right arm in bowls, and whip past the bowler to his left-hand side. Isn't going to get to the boundary. Darryl Mitchell with the throw. It's 1 run. 139 for 3. 37 from 41. We have on our screen, I have to say, I don't think I've seen such blatant advertising for a motor vehicle in a tournament as I've seen for this one. We get to see a lot of that car. 139 for 3. We're in the 14th over. 37 off 41. Markram on 68. Powering in again is Ferguson. Worked with the use of the wrist. Markram onto the onside. No, comes the call coming back for a second. There may be a little wriggle room to work with here, but no silly run-outs. We're just seeing the sky that got Brevis dismissed in the end. He got a bit more on that, and that really could have flown out the ground, but he just got under it a little bit too much. And Ravindra came on and broke up that particular partnership, but another one in the early stages of building, but they don't need too many more now. 36 from 40. Another on 5, driven along the ground, straight to the fielder. And Satner doing the fielding there and the covers.
Yeah, it's been a good little period of play for New Zealand here. It's just a shame that South Africa are 140 for 3. If they were 110 for 3, they'd be a hell of a lot happier, and this would have been a really good period for them. But yeah, South Africa still need to keep this intent. I can feel Miller just building here, going to take a risk at some point just to release the shackles a bit.
He's on 5 at the moment. I think he tried to with that one away on the leg side and didn't make good enough contact. He's ended up at long on, comes off the toe end of the bat, didn't get the timing right there.
Yeah, just dropped down from Lockie Ferguson, changing the pace of the game, slower ball, and he looked like he was just threw that shot a little bit early. But it's good from New Zealand. They're still trying, they're still mixing it up, they're still trying the slow balls, their bounces, they're trying to change their bowlers around. Obviously they can't just give up, they've still got an international game to win, but they'll try whatever they can.
141 for 3 in the 14th over. Next ball on the pad just in front of the leg stump. Well, that's run off down towards the boundary.
Yeah, he's actually, funny enough, he's not played a shot at that. Ferguson from wide of the crease, angling it in. It's just ended up hitting Markram on his thigh pad. I wonder whether he thought that was going to be further down the leg side and just misjudged it. But yeah, very honest from him there. We were talking about honesty in cricketers in terms of when you touch it, if you're fielding or not. But that one, he's held his hand up and said, no, sorry, I haven't played a shot at that, so no run in the end.
Made life easier for the umpire, but it was pretty clear in the end. So he's on 69, 141 for 3, 1 ball left of the 14th over. Doesn't bother ducking out of the way of that one, but that's the leg side wide. And the 1 for the over. Group D, Ahmedabad. These two teams right at the top, but it's South Africa. We're well on their way to a victory, 34 of 37, although I have to say the win probability is almost up at 5% for New Zealand now, because they've been keeping it just a little bit tighter. 5%.
Yeah, well, South Africa need one boundary just to get it back down to that 2 or 3%.
Markram on 69. Next ball, driven hard and firm, back of the bowler, in and out. Oh, that would have been a wonderful take. However, that is 14 overs gone. We'll take a drinks break here with Markram on 69 from 34, Miller 6 off 8, 34 from 36 balls. Aidan Markram is on 69, Miller at the other end on 6. A reminder that tomorrow we've quite an interesting, well, we've got 3 interesting games, but a massive game in this competition tomorrow. It's the last of the 3 matches, India versus Pakistan. You'll be able to follow that wherever you're listening to us right now. You'll be able to follow it tomorrow as well. 5 Sports Extra in the UK. We've got the ICC app as well around the world, and ABC. But India versus Pakistan, it's a 1:30 start GMT in Colombo. Before that, West Indies versus Nepal. If you are in the UK, set the alarm early, a 5:30 start for that one. And the United States of America have lit up this competition, and there's more to come from them, I'm sure. They take on Namibia. Certainly the United States of America, one of those stories where, with the ICC help, those players deserve of playing more cricket, because they have shown already with what little cricket they have in preparing and getting themselves right for this competition. There's a lot of skill, a lot of talent there on show, and a bit of more support to get them playing more often, and they will play an even bigger role, particularly obviously in T20 cricket. So I hope they get that support at the end of this competition, because they really have entertained us. Tomorrow they'll be looking for a victory over Namibia. That game in Chennai. It's Mumbai for the first one, West Indies versus Nepal. And a reminder about the cricket we've had today. A big win for Ireland, 96 runs over Oman after Ireland scored 235 for 5. And then cricket's version of the Cal Scotland, and a 5-wicket victory for England. Really important, essential knock really from Tom Banton, a 63 not out. Sam Curran got a 28 there, Bethel a 32. But it was the variations of the bowling from England which undid Scotland, who have a lot of batting talent on show. Jones with a 33, Berrington a 49, Tom Bruce a 24. but it's really the variations of bowling from the likes of Adil Rashid and Sam Curran. Geoffrey Archer causing problems as well. He did well at the bowling for England, including Geoffrey taking 2 wickets in 3 balls earlier. Ended up with 2 for 24, but there's 3 wickets for 36 from Rashid, 2 for 34 from Dawson. And initially that pair, I think they went for 48 runs between the two of them over their first 4 overs, i.e. 2 overs apiece. Berrington enjoying himself there, but eventually Rashid had him LBW. Back to this match, Miller on 6, and will drive that first ball after the resumption after the drinks break towards the boundary at long on. So he moves to 7, 143 for 3, 33 runs needed. Say edging their way there. The call from David is to just get on with it now. Get going.
Well, I wouldn't say get on with it, but I'd say keep the momentum. You know, they haven't looked like they're trying to score a boundary in the last few balls.
Markham is on 69, smashed down into the ground off the bowling of Santner. He outstretched right hand, he can't stop it from running away. 32 from 34. But there are these 7 wickets standing. That said, it is a funny old game, isn't it? Because it's unlikely to happen. But what if 3 or 4 wickets fell quickly here now? Having been in such a strong position, and they were the likes of Markram's and Miller's. Oh, a tumbling attempt at a stop there, running round. They'll go through for 2. And the score moves to 146 for 3 midway through this 15th over. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there have been games where you've seen this sort of equation, and then the wickets tumble, and it becomes a completely different story in terms of the pressure on the batting side. There doesn't appear to be any pressure, of course, at the moment upon South Africa. Miller, with a single on the onside, moves to 10. Markram to do 70 from 35. They're in control of this. 147 for 3. 2 balls left to the 15th over. I do say, win it in the penultimate over if you can on the run chase. Yeah, don't leave it to that last over. Markram on 70, push back up to Santner.
Yeah, you're right. You don't want to take it into the last over. That's the last thing you ever want to do in a chase. So you want to factor that in. But when you have these smaller totals where you need 29 of 31 balls.
Markram's on 70. Will find run. Will they find a run there? They will go through quickly for a single to the right arm throw from cover point. So that's 148 for 3, 28 off 30. Markram 71, Miller on 10. Your thoughts, David, before Matt will pick up?
Yeah, you almost have the tendency sometimes to drop your intensity, and the batters that are waiting to bat almost feel like it's a walk in the park, and you can almost get yourself into a little bit of trouble. So South Africa want to keep that momentum. They want to try and finish that with an over to go at least, maybe even earlier. So I'd expect South Africa to put their foot down at some point in the next over or 2 and try and finish this and be as clinical as they can with it. Markram has been fantastic, and if he can keep doing what he's doing, then South Africa will just end up walking over the line.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, they certainly should do, shouldn't they, from here, despite this slight lull in the last 2 or 3 overs. But when you look at the worms graphic that they often show on the TV coverage, the South African worm has been well ahead of the New Zealand worm. It's just started to come back towards it, but it's still comfortably ahead and just 3 wickets down. Jacob Duffy's back into the attack. Haven't seen him for a while for New Zealand. This is clipped wide of long on by Aidan Markram. Daryl Mitchell does the fielding, and they come back for 2. Duffy's first 2 overs, very expensive. Went for 36, so he's got a bit of making up to do if he's going to drag his figures back. South Africa, though, don't need to worry at all from here because they got off to such a brilliant start. Fantastic power play, they're ahead of the game. This is pulled into the gap by Markram. Despairing dive by Daryl Mitchell, and he can't get there. That was perfect in terms of placement in between deep mid-wicket and long on.
Yeah, fantastic placement there from the skipper, who has just had to halt his innings a little bit. Just feel that he's been starved of the strike in the last 3 or 4 overs, but finally he gets a bit of pace back on to his bat, and he threads that through straight mid-wicket. I'm just intrigued here that they have brought Duffy back on. He did struggle in his first 2 overs, going for 18 and over. And we just have seen the ball spin a little bit from Santner. I know Rachin Ravindra is a part-time spinner, but I thought they may have gone for another bit of spin here.
Duffy in again. Hard length on leg stump, clipped into deep backward square leg for one more for Markram. It's interesting, isn't it, how the ball has just started to spin a bit more under the lights at the back end of the innings, and particularly, as you say, when the pace has been taken off it, the quicker the spinners have bowled, the less purchase they've got.
I think that's what Santner is, that's his super strength, really. He can bowl at any sort of pace, and he's so quick to realise what the best pace to bowl to extract the turn on any wicket that he plays on. And if there's no turn at all, then he'll fire it in quicker. But today, he just started to slow his pace there.
Duffy in again, bangs this in short. It's pulled hard by David Miller, very hard. Matt Henry at deep mid-wicket, didn't have too far to run, but he had no chance there, and the ball thumps into the boundary cushion. An important couple of boundaries just to get them back on track this over.
Yeah, that's a really good shot from Miller. Just a short arm jab, really. And as he hits that pull shot well in front of Cow corner, both feet are off the ground, but still able to get so much power.
Goes past the outside edge this time. So wide. Too far past the outside edge.
Yeah, and only 16 runs to get here. They had a little lull over the last couple of overs. Santner bowled beautifully, as we said, changed his pace, bowled slower, making it hard for the South African batters to find the boundary. But you feel that they're so happy to have a bit more pace on the ball with Duffy.
16 needed off 26 balls for South Africa. It's a slower ball, short delivery into the pitch. And Miller pulls this straight, one bounce to Daryl Mitchell at long on. He moves on to 15 off 13. One ball left in this 16th over. Good crowd in today. Very good crowd. As I said earlier, it's hard to know exactly how many because the arena is so big, but it's just steadily filled up throughout the day. And I would say it's well over half capacity, which would mean, you know, up towards 40, 50,000 you'd expect. That's full on leg stump, and it's chipped in the air down to long on by Aidan Markram. He moves on to 79 off 41. It's been a great captain's knock. 162 for 3 off 16 overs. South Africa need 14 off just 24 balls.
Well, he's 21 away here from those 3 figures. I don't think that'll be in his sights, but if he was able to get a couple of early boundaries in this next over, then, you know, he might feel that he might have a little dig for that 3-figure score. But that was a really good over from South Africa. I do feel that New Zealand may have made the wrong call there. They went for Duffy. He has struggled. He's obviously an excellent bowler, but hasn't really got his line or lengths right tonight. I just feel that after that excellent over of spin from Santner, could they have just sort of dangled the carrot, gone for another left-arm spinner? But instead, they went with one of their senior seamers, and they're going for another here. Henry's coming back on to bowl.
And the seamers haven't gone that well today for New Zealand. Again, it's another single down towards the mid-on area. Markram. Oh, they have to come through quickly because the throw comes in from mid-off fielder coming round to mid-on. He goes for the stumps at the keeper's end with the batter just trotting in, and Tim Seifert wasn't particularly ready, the wicket-keeper, and it was well wide of the stumps, and it's gone for another 4 overthrows. In fact, it's kind of not bounced and gone underneath the gloves of Seifert. Fielder backing up, too slow to come round, and that kind of sums up New Zealand's day in the field.
Yeah, I think it's the skipper Santner there that has thrown that back into the striker's end, and because Seifert has come up to the stumps and he's almost yorked himself, the ball has just bounced at his feet, then no one was backing up. A bit of sloppy fielding there from New Zealand.
Matt Henry over the wicket to the left-handed Miller, thick outside edge, out to short third. Duffy does a tumbling stop. They come through for 1. I think it might have bounced in the footholes of the batter, of the striker, and that's why it just went underneath Seifert's gloves. But really hasn't been a great day for them from ball one in this run chase. And I wonder if they just could have gone to spin a bit earlier, because it was the first 5-6 overs, 82 off the power play, and the game wasn't done, but they were well ahead of the game when you're chasing just 176. It was almost too late when Santner came on. Very full from Henry, driven to mid-off. Santner has another shy of the stumps. There's going to be another overthrow. He misses this time at the bowler's end. He takes his cap off and rubs his hair in frustration, the New Zealand skipper. I think he was more within his rights to have a go at the stumps there, but yeah, buzzers, more buzzers.
Yeah, and he's done nothing wrong there, the skipper. He wants to have a shy at the stumps, because the non-striker was looking to take the single, but once again, no one backing up. He threw that in so quickly that the fielders behind the stumps didn't really have enough time to get into position to back that up, and South Africa just stealing another run there.
He's in again, short again, and that's a hard, swiveled pull. Rolled his wrist there as well. David Miller out to deep mid-wicket, 4-1. Just one blow away now. They need 6 off 20 balls, South Africa. Aidan Markram is now the second leading run scorer in the tournament, behind Tim Seifert. Both of them playing in this match, of course, but it's South Africa who have been dominant. This is a really impressive performance from them. New Zealand would have been full of confidence after they beat Afghanistan comfortably and battered the UAE by 10 wickets. But they have been outplayed today by a side that finished runner-up, of course, in the last T20 World Cup. Henry in again, off cutter, worked into the leg side by Markram for 1. He moves on to 86.
Oh, I thought he was going to try and finish that off in style there, Markram. Just, it looked like the ball was going to be full enough for him to bosh it straight back down the ground, which he's done so well in this innings. But leading from the front, he'll want to make sure that he is there at the end. He's played a superb knock so far, 86 off 44, 5 runs to get.
Miller pulls down into the ground again. He wants 2. Markram says no, you don't need a run out at this stage of the innings. And a bit of comedy at the end. Matt Henry fielding the ball at the bowler's end, falls over David Miller. They have a laugh, and then good sportsmanship. Miller just offers his hand and helps him up. 4 needed off 18 deliveries now. Who's going to hit the winning runs? Is Markram going to have a go? Well, actually, Miller will be on strike, won't he? Because he took a single there. But you look at the table, New Zealand and South Africa have got 4 points. UAE have got 2 points. So technically, the UAE could still catch South Africa when they win this game. But they're not going to win both their games. You would think the UAE, because one of them is against South Africa.
Yeah, they're really in the driving seat in this group, aren't they? And just have really laid a statement down to the rest of the teams as well in this game.
Lockie Ferguson into David Miller, who pulls him high and handsome and into the stands. What a way to finish off the match for South Africa. They came in against an in-form New Zealand side, and they've blown them away, really. Restricted them to just 175 for 7 on a pretty flat deck at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. And they have chased